This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, October 16th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The Supreme Court seems like it'll vote to limit the use of the Voting Rights Act.
Throw maps across the country into chaos.
Haya Panjwani, Washington.
A federal judge stops the Trump administration's efforts to lay off thousands of federal workers during a government shutdown that shows no signs of ending. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
The CIA has the all clear to go into Venezuela.
I think Venezuela is feeling heat.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Reporters en masse cleared out their desks at the Pentagon, refusing to sign on to new Department of War reporting guidelines. I'm Jeff McKay.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a mixed day full of China trade war worries and lackluster economic news. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
A discarded straw leads to murder charges in the 1984 killing of a New York teenager. I'm Ed Donahue.
All ahead on America in the Morning. At the U.S. Supreme Court, the justices seem inclined to either chip away or possibly fully scrap a key tenet of the Voting Rights Act. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on Wednesday's hearing.
The Supreme Court seems like it'll vote to limit the use of the Voting Rights Act to force states to draw electoral districts that favor minorities. The court's 6 conservative justices, to one degree or another, seem like they would vote to strike down a black majority House district in Louisiana because it relied too heavily on race.
The very first thing the plaintiff shows is here's the community that was cracked or packed. And so to undo that, you have to look at the race of the voters all around that area, and you've got to make assumptions about them based on statistics, but you've got to make assumptions about what they think and how they vote based on their race, and you're drawing new districts based on that.
If they do vote to limit the act's use, it could mark a fundamental change in voting rights laws. The Voting Rights Act was the centerpiece legislation of the civil rights movement. It allowed Black Americans to vote and reduce discrimination in voting. During oral arguments before the Supreme Court, Janae Nelson of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund says,
My opponent's late-breaking and recordless facial and as-applied challenges seek a staggering reversal of precedent that would throw maps across the country into chaos.
Justice Brett Kavanaugh questioned whether there might be a point where the country no longer needs to take race into account when drawing voting districts.
This court's cases in a variety of contexts have said that race-based remedies are permissible for a period of time, sometimes for a long period of time, decades in some cases, but that they should not be indefinite and should have an endpoint.
Meanwhile, Justice Sonia Sotomayor says race is always a part of redistricting.
The state is stopping black voters from doing that in many districts because it's packing them into areas that whites overwhelm them.
A ruling for Louisiana could open the door for legislatures to redraw congressional maps across the South. It could potentially boost Republican electoral prospects by eliminating majority Black and Latino districts that tend to favor Democrats. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
The Trump administration was handed a defeat by a federal judge on Wednesday that prevents the administration's efforts to lay off thousands of federal workers during the government shutdown. John Stolnis has the latest on the continuing impasse from Washington.
U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston in San Francisco issued an injunction which immediately stops about 4,100 federal workers from being fired, declaring it's against the law to do so during a government shutdown. Unions representing the workers filed the lawsuit, and Judge Ilston agreed that the firings were politically motivated and that the, quote, activities being undertaken are contrary to the law. Meanwhile, the government appears no closer to reopening. The Senate once again failed to pass the House continuing resolution supported by Republicans, now for the 9th time. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine says threats by President Trump and Republicans aren't going to weaken their resolve.
On weekends, I travel around Virginia, and my workers are telling me over and over again, the bullying has got to stop, and to stop it, you have to stand up to the bully. We have a president who won't even engage.
Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune, however, criticizes Democrats, who he says are acting childish.
I think the American people are wondering when the Senate Democrats are going to end their temper tantrum and vote to reopen the government.
Thune said Republicans will try to advance a one-year standalone Pentagon funding bill while also potentially attaching other funding bills. That would also need 60 votes to break a filibuster. There's been no word on whether Democrats would agree to vote for that. Democrats are demanding an extension of health care tax credits in exchange for voting for the House-passed CR. Republicans need 5 additional Democrats to vote yes in order for the bill to pass. Republican Senator John Kennedy tells CNN this shutdown will almost certainly become the longest ever.
I think this will be the longest shutdown in the history of ever. And I don't say that happily. I don't say that proudly. I'm just saying that realistically.
It goes past Thanksgiving.
I do.
The Senate will vote for a 10th time on the GOP-backed House stopgap bill later this morning. John Stolnis, Washington.
Targeting Venezuelan drug cartels. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy is at the national map with today's forecast.
We have a storm off the northeast coast this morning that will continue to develop clouds across New England from Maine westward to New Hampshire and southward to Massachusetts, eastern Connecticut, and Rhode Island. There will be some showers from Maine southward into eastern Massachusetts, and this is going to lead to a windy and chilly day as well as some gusts near the coast over 40 miles per hour. And with highs only in the 40s and 50s, AccuWeather real field temperatures will drop into the 30s and 40s for much of the day. Meanwhile, we have another storm moving into the central Rockies today. That'll be centered around Wyoming, where rain and mountain snow will start today in parts of Utah and western Wyoming, and then continuing northward as rain through eastern Montana and western North Dakota. And on the eastern side of the storm, the associated cold front will move into the plain states, leading to some gusty thunderstorms late in the day from South Dakota southward through western Kansas. And these storms could produce hail, damaging winds, along with heavier rain. Ahead of the system through the rest of the plains from Texas to Nebraska, as well as parts of Minnesota and Iowa, it's going to be quite warm with plenty of sunshine. Highs will be mostly in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and this is about 5 to 15 degrees above the historical average for mid-October. And that warmth will continue into the southeast with plenty of sunshine and highs still in the 80s and 90s. And high pressure will still provide plenty of sun farther to the north through the middle Atlantic, northward to New York, though it will be a little bit cooler with highs in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. That's the weather across America. It will be a very nice day in Charlotte, North Carolina with sunshine and a high of 76. Billings, Montana will be quite cooler with clouds, rain, and a high of just 48. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. President Trump says he's authorizing the CIA to go into Venezuela to target drug cartels. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The move comes amid U.S. military strikes on boats trafficking drugs in the Caribbean. Some members of Congress have questioned the authority of President Trump to order those strikes and whether or not they're necessary. The president, though, confirming to reporters this week that he's authorizing CIA agents to be on the ground in Venezuela.
We are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control. We've had a couple of days where there isn't a boat to be found. And that I view that as a good thing.
President Trump has called for a regime change in Venezuela, but wouldn't answer whether or not the CIA has the authority to take out President Nicolas Maduro.
I think Venezuela is feeling heat.
Trump has accused the Venezuelan government of emptying prisons to flood the U.S. southern border with migrants under the Biden presidency. I'm Clayton Neville.
Dozens of reporters turned in access badges and exited the Pentagon Wednesday rather than agree to government-imposed restrictions on their work. America in the Morning's Jeff McKay reports.
News outlets including Fox News, the AP, Newsmax, and ABC, CBS, and NBC News were nearly unanimous in rejecting new rules imposed by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth that would leave journalists vulnerable to expulsion if they sought to report on information, classified or otherwise, that had not been approved by Hegseth for release. Many of the nearly 40 to 50 reporters waited to leave together at a 4 p.m. deadline set by the Defense Department to hand in their press badges and get out of the building. Hegseth says this is about stopping leaks and keeping order.
Maybe the policy should look like the White House or other military installations where you have to wear a badge that identifies that you're press, or you can't just roam anywhere you want.
Speaking on CNN, longtime Pentagon reporter Barbara Starr refuted the defense secretary's claims and warned that reporters will still report whether they're in the Pentagon or not.
The big question that's being whispered about more and more is, what is Hegseth afraid of? If he's afraid of leaks, go after those he believes are leaking. I think he's about to potentially run into a buzzsaw of trouble because reporters are going to continue to report, whether they're inside the building or not.
Every news organization credentialed to walk the halls of the Pentagon have now left the building, except for the conservative One American News, which became the only news organization to sign the document. I'm Jeff McKay in Washington.
International travelers avoiding the U.S. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning, a check of how markets performed yesterday and a look ahead for investors this Thursday. With the business report, here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a mixed day for stocks yesterday. Some investors cheering strong earnings reports from Morgan Stanley and Bank of America, while others are worried about rising trade war tensions with China. The Dow is down 17, the S&P 500 index up 26. Only the NASDAQ right now is in the green for October. Another high for gold yesterday as investors look for safety, $4,201 an ounce. United Airlines released quarterly results after the closing bell last night. Earnings came in better than expected, but the revenue wasn't so great. Its third straight revenue miss. Almost every international region saw a decline in passenger revenue per seat mile as many international travelers avoid the U.S.
Premium and loyalty have been a big part of the success, not only at United, but also at Delta. Everybody knows that's where the money is right now for the domestic airlines. Look, United had a strong summer relative to spring. They do not want to go back to what they saw in the spring.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau. No September inflation report yesterday. The Bureau of Labor Statistics brought back workers during the shutdown to get it ready for release a week from tomorrow. It'll be 9 days late, but still ahead of the following week's Fed meeting on interest rates, and that group needs that data. Inflation has been going in the wrong direction all year. The Fed's target is 2%. Headline inflation is now up to 2.9% from August. The Fed's Beige Book shows tariffs are pushing prices higher and consumers are taking the hit. The Beige Book is a summary of current economic conditions.
The Beige Book telling a story of a lackluster economy suffering from uncertainty, low hiring, and inflation. Consumer spending inched down when it came to retail, but leisure and hospitality saw declines because of reluctance of international travelers to come to the U.S.
CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. Meantime, consumers expect higher prices on holiday items in a new survey by Deloitte. And they're also saying they're going to spend 10% less on holiday this year compared to last year.
What people say they're going to do and what they actually do is very different. Our price is going to be up, absolutely. And not only will prices be up, but the items that we tend to focus on during the holiday season, like toys, we'll see a disproportionate amount of pricing.
That's UBS's Michael Lasser on CNBC. On today's watch list, we get another load of earnings reports, this time from Travelers, Charles Schwab, and U.S. Bank Corp. Xbox handheld devices launch today.
Wow. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, what finally keyed in investigators after a 41-year-old cold case. After these messages. A Mississippi man convicted of raping and murdering a college student in the 1990s was executed Wednesday after spending more than 30 years on death row. Charles Crawford was put to death by lethal injection after an appeal by his attorneys to the U.S. Supreme Court was denied. Crawford was convicted in the 1993 kidnapping, rape, and murder of 20-year-old Christy Ray, who was abducted from her home. A ransom note left on the family's kitchen table. At the time of his arrest, Crawford was heading to trial, accused in 1991 of raping a teenage girl and hitting her friend with a hammer. America in the Morning continues. A 41-year-old New York cold case has finally been solved. Ed Donahue reports on how police used a discarded straw to catch a killer.
A discarded straw leads to murder charges in the 1984 killing of a New York teenager. Richard Bilodeau is facing 2 counts of murder in the death of Teresa Fusco. 3 men were convicted of killing and raping the teenager and served several years in prison before they were exonerated by DNA evidence in 2003. It was also DNA from a discarded straw that led to the indictment of the new suspect. Fusco's father, Thomas, was in court as Bilodeau pleaded not guilty. He said it was heartbreaking to relive his daughter's death over and over again, but expressed hope that the arrest was a finalization of the ordeal. Last year, investigators recovered a cup and straw they say Bilodeau used and discarded at a smoothie cafe. DNA extracted from the straw matched a sample taken from Fusco's body in 1984. I'm Ed Donahue.
America in the Morning for Thursday, October 16th, 2025, is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Vice President J.D. Vance speaking out on comments made by young Republicans in a group chat. I'm Clayton Neville.
Each of the 20 living hostages released by Hamas are beginning a difficult path to recovery. I'm Jennifer King.
A U.S. district judge has issued an emergency order temporarily blocking the Trump administration from firing workers. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
House Democrats are demanding House Speaker Mike Johnson get back to work. I'm Joan Jones.
Microsoft warns phishing is on the rise, and not the good kind. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Alec Baldwin has not been charged in his car accident earlier this week. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. America in the Morning continues with the first forecast. To start your day, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
To start the day, we are watching a storm moving into the central Rockies, centered around Wyoming, where rain and mountain snow will start today in parts of Utah and western Wyoming. There could be a few inches, some of the higher elevations. Rain will continue northward through eastern Montana and western North Dakota. And then on the eastern side of the storm, the associated cold front will move into the plains, leading to some late-day thunderstorms over central South Dakota, southward through western Kansas. And these storms have the potential to produce hail, damaging winds, along with some heavier rain. And ahead of the system through the rest of the plains from Texas to Nebraska, as well as parts of Minnesota and Iowa, it's going to be quite warm with plenty of sunshine. We'll have highs in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And this is about 5 to 15 degrees above the historical average for mid-October. That warmth will move into the southeast as well with plenty of sunshine and highs still in the 80s and 90s. And high pressure will provide plenty of sunshine farther to the north through the mid-Atlantic, northward to New York, though it will be cooler with highs in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. In the wake of the Rockies storm, most of the western states will be largely dry with sunshine and a few clouds that will build in the northwest later in the day with some showers along the Washington and Oregon coast, and those showers will spread a little farther inland tonight. And another storm impacting the U.S. is just off the northeast coast this morning, and that will continue to create clouds across New England from Maine westward to New Hampshire and southward through eastern Massachusetts, eastern Connecticut, and Rhode Island. There will be a few showers from Maine southward to eastern Massachusetts, and this is going to lead to a windy and chilly day along with some gusts near 40 miles per hour and highs only in the 40s and 50s. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Two nations have announced they will increase the pressure on Russia to end the war in Ukraine, one directly, the other indirectly. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports President Trump claims to have gained a key commitment from one nation to stop buying cheap Russian oil, and Germany's defense minister at a NATO summit attended by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said his nation is increasing their multi-billion-dollar military aid package for Ukraine.
This will include a Pearl package to totaling $500 million. The package addresses a number of urgent requirements of Ukraine. It provides air defense systems, Patriot interceptors, radar systems, and precision-guided artillery, rockets, and ammunition.
President Trump claims India's leader has personally assured him his nation will stop buying Russian oil. That would boost pressure on Moscow to negotiate ending the Ukraine war, with Russia relying on energy sales to fund its military might.
There will be no oil. He's not buying his oil from Russia. It started. You can't do it immediately. It's a little bit of a process. But the process is going to be over with soon.
The president says Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi told him as much, though the Indian embassy here in Washington did not immediately react. India is the second biggest buyer of Russian oil.
I was not happy that India was buying oil, and he assured me today that they will not be buying oil from Russia. That's a big stop. Now I got to get China to do the same thing.
The president's due to meet here with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky Friday.
All countries need to translate goals into guns, commitments into capabilities, and pledges into power. That's all that matters, hard power. It's the only thing belligerents actually respect.
Sagar Meghani at the White House.
There was a scare for Hegseth in the air on his way back to the U.S. Hegseth's plane made an unscheduled landing in the U.K. after a windshield cracked after he departed Brussels. The plane's emergency signal was activated, and they landed without incident. Politicians are reacting to a series of group chats involving young Republicans that contained what critics call racist and vile comments about political opponents. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
A report by Politico exposed the leaked messages that involve members of the Young Republican National Federation. Comments in the group chat included adoration for Hitler and suggestions to put political opponents in gas chambers, also describing the mass rape of indigenous people as epic. Some of the members in that chat work for high-profile politicians and run campaigns. Young Republicans groups in Kansas and New York, Arizona, and Vermont all included in the Politico report. The Kansas chapter reportedly now dissolving.
They believe in gas chambers and rape and discrimination based on the color of people's skins. These are racist, sexist, disgusting remarks.
New York Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul called on President Trump and other Republican leaders to condemn the leaked messages.
And there's got to be consequences. Kick them out of the party. Take away their official roles. Stop using them as campaign advisors.
Vice President J.D. Vance doesn't see it that way.
Grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats.
The 41-year-old VP told the Charlie Kirk Show on Real America's Voice that he grew up in a different world.
Most of the stupid things that I did when I was a teenager and a young adult, they're not on the internet. Like, I'm going to tell my kids, especially my boys, don't put things on the internet. Like, be careful with what you post. If you put something in a group chat, assume that some scumbag is going to leak it in an effort to try to cause you harm or cause your family harm.
He said he won't put up with it.
We're all going to have to say, you know what? No. We're not doing this. We're not canceling kids because they do something stupid in a group chat.
After the report came out, the group called on everyone involved in the chat to immediately resign from all positions within the organization. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Gaza ceasefire remains fragile at best after Hamas released 2 more coffins alleged to contain Israeli hostages, but now says it has handed over all the dead hostages they can access. The day before, Hamas handed over 4 coffins to the Red Cross, but one of those contained a dead Palestinian. That leaves 24 dead hostages unaccounted for. In reaction, President Trump said he told the Israeli government they can resume fighting in Gaza if Hamas does not hold up their end of the agreement. Meanwhile, the 20 hostages returned alive from captivity in Gaza are in stable condition, but need a team of specialists as they start to recover from their ordeal. Correspondent Jennifer King has more on the story.
Each of the 20 living hostages released by Hamas are beginning a difficult path to recovery. Israeli health officials say that will include a supervised diet, treatment for pain and malnutrition, and rebuilding a sense of control over their lives after 2 years in captivity.
Every one of them has endured untold adversity and horrors.
Dr. Itai Pesach is with the Sheba Medical Center, where 10 former hostages are hospitalized.
They will probably need weeks, months, and maybe years to heal.
Many of the hostages wore leg chains for their entire captivity, which can lead to orthopedic problems, muscle waste, and blood clots. Refeeding syndrome is another issue and can be deadly. Rebecca Bobat says her husband is suffering because ahead of his release, he received food in big quantities so that he would look better for the world. Dr. Haggai Levine, head of the health team for the Hostages Family Forum, says previous hostages had untreated strokes and infections and compromised immune systems. I'm Jennifer King.
Firings of government workers on hold, so says a federal judge, when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Any plans for firings of federal workers on Friday due to the government shutdown could be on hold, at least temporarily. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports on a new court ruling over the proposed shutdown layoffs.
A U.S. district judge has issued an emergency order temporarily blocking the Trump administration from firing workers during the government shutdown. With plans to fire 4,100 employees across 8 agencies, the White House Budget Office said Friday that the mass firings had already started. That announcement prompted labor unions for federal workers to ask for a temporary restraining order to block the Trump administration from issuing new layoff notices or implementing those already sent out.
If this keeps going on, it'll be substantial, and a lot of those jobs will never come back.
The unions say the firings are illegal and an abuse of power designed to punish workers and pressure Congress. The Trump administration says the district court lacks jurisdiction to hear employment decisions made by federal agencies. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Democrats are ramping up pressure on House Speaker Mike Johnson, including a protest at his office to seat a Democrat who won a special election in Arizona more than 3 weeks ago. Correspondent Joan reports.
Last night, they played some games. They stormed my office.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, none too happy about protesting Democrats showing up at his office doorstep.
They berated a Capitol Police officer, screamed at him. He was just merely standing his post.
What they want is for the Speaker to swear in Adelita Grijalva, who won a special election last month to fill the seat her father held before his death.
This Speaker has sworn in 3 other members, now members in a special, and they're 24 hours after their election.
Democrats claim that Johnson's holding off because Grijalva would give Democrats and a handful of Republicans the final vote to compel the Department of Justice to release documents regarding the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Not true, says Johnson. It's a matter of the House not being in session because of the shutdown.
As soon as Mark Kelly and Senator Gallegos, the 2 senators from Arizona, Ms. Grijalva's state, will go and join with 3 others and open the government, we're happy. We'll have that as soon as we get back to business. But we have to get back to business.
At this point, there's no sign that the House will reconvene anytime soon. I'm Joan Jones.
Brown University on Wednesday rejected a White House proposal to steer public money towards schools that aligned with President Trump's priorities, following MIT, which also said no last week. The Trump administration's proposals included limits on international students and other commitments surrounding admissions, women's sports, and anti-American speech. The Ivy League school had previously struck a deal with the Trump administration to restore lost research funding and end investigations into discriminations. America in the Morning continues. A new report details what led to the implosion of the Titan submersible on its way to the wreck of the Titanic. Correspondent Ed Donahue has more on the story.
Investigators say faulty engineering led to the implosion of the Titan submersible heading to the wreck of the Titanic. The National Transportation Safety Board says the Titan had multiple anomalies and failed to meet necessary strength and durability requirements. It also said OceanGate, the owner of the Titan, failed to adequately test it and was unaware of its true durability. All 5 people were killed on the submersible in 2023, including OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush. The report also said the Titan likely would have been found sooner had OceanGate followed standard guidance for the emergency response. The Coast Guard released a report in August that described the Titan implosion as preventable and found glaring disparities between safety protocols and actual practices. I'm Ed Donahue.
Fishing. It's all the rage. And we're not talking about on the lake or stream side. There's no rod and reel here. Microsoft is warning that there's a bunch of new phishing scams using AI to disguise malware that's attached to your email. Chuck Palm has the story in today's Tech Report.
Microsoft is once again sounding the alarm on a fresh phishing scam. These intelligent hacking schemes are using ChatGPT and Microsoft's Copilot to make the attacks sound more legit. For the bait, it masquerades as a routine file-sharing nudge, complete with an SVG attachment that seems harmless. But once you click it, you're funneled to a fake login page, and if you enter your credentials, you're toast. The bad guys are going as far as to mix in business jargon and weird synthetic fluff that's designed to dodge your antivirus filters and make the malware look like some boring corporate drivel. Phishing attacks have exploded over 12,000% since 2022, and now over 51% of execs are sweating the AI-powered tricks that open new attack doors. Here's another pro tip. Never click an attachment, especially something that doesn't look like a Microsoft doc or a spreadsheet, and especially anything from a stranger that's not on your authorized list. For more, find me at chuckpalm.com.
Robert Workman is in with a check of Thursday sports.
Baseball, American League Championship Series, Game 3 in Seattle. The Blue Jays overpowered the Mariners 13-4, belting 5 home runs. The light show actually started with a Seattle rocket. Julio Rodriguez launching a 2-run homer in the bottom of the first inning. But Andres Jimenez tied it with a 2-run shot in the third to spark a 5-run rally. That's more runs than Toronto had scored in the first 2 games of the series at home. George Springer sent a blast to center in the fourth, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. led off the fifth with another big fly. After going 0 for 7 to start the series, Guerrero went 4 for 4 last night with a walk and scored 3 runs. Alejandro Kirk tacked on a 3-run dinger in the 6th.
I was looking for something over, and thank God I hit it out. And this is what we're doing the whole year, and it's a great team.
The M showed a little life in the 8th with back-to-back jacks from Randy Arozarena and Cal Raleigh, but Addison Barger went deep in the 9th to top it off. Toronto's 5 homers tied the AL record for the most in a playoff game, which was done most recently by the Jays 10 days ago in the division series, and the combined 8 taters tied the Major League mark for any postseason game. Game 4 tonight at T-Mobile Park. First up today, NLCS Game 3 this afternoon at Dodger Stadium. The home team up 2-0 on the Brewers. NHL, the Sabres slashed the Senators 8-4, 2 goals each for Ryan McLeod, Jason Zucker, and Jack Quinn. Blackhawks blitzed the Blues, Red Wings ripped the Panthers, and the Mammoths snuffed out the Flames to win their first home opener with their new name. That's Thursday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, actor Alex Baldwin wraps his vehicle around a tree after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. He blamed it on what he called a whale-sized truck. Actor Alec Baldwin is speaking out about his recent car crash where he hit a, quote, big fat tree in New York. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has details.
Local police have addressed the single-vehicle crash involving Alec Baldwin this week. On Monday, the actor drove off the road and struck a tree in East Hampton, New York. No one was injured. Soon after the event, Baldwin, who was attending the Hamptons International Film Festival with his brother Steven, took to Instagram with an explanation.
The guy cut me off at a truck.
big garbage truck. I mean, a garbage truck the size of a whale. To avoid hitting him, I hit a tree. I hit a big, fat tree.
Local police were called to the scene.
Thank you to the East Hampton Police Department, the town police department, for coming to my aid. They came in and we filed a report with them.
On Tuesday, Chief of Police Michael D. Sarlo told Us Weekly that the contributing factors to the accident were, quote, a reaction to an uninvolved vehicle and the slippery and wet roadway conditions. He also said there were no summons issued in the event. On Tuesday, Newsmax obtained video footage from the cab of the truck. This footage shows Baldwin's vehicle running off the road and hitting a tree approximately 10 seconds after the truck completed a right turn. Baldwin says he feels bad about the accident, specifically because he wrecked his wife, Ilaria's car.
I crushed my wife's car. I feel bad about that, but it's all fine, and I'm fine, and my brother's fine.
This comes after a rough week for his wife, who was voted off Dancing with the Stars on October 7th. She also took to Instagram to comment on the accident.
I'm getting a lot of messages about the accident that Alec was in today, the car accident, and I just want you to know he's okay. Stephen is okay. Everybody is okay. No one was hurt.
I'm Kevin Carr.
We're still 2 weeks away from Halloween and over a month from Thanksgiving, but it's not too early to be thinking about Christmas and a holiday tradition in New York City. Correspondent Julie Walker reports the Radio City Rockettes opened their practice for the 2025 Christmas Spectacular.
The Radio City Rockettes, ready to welcome the holiday season in New York City. This is the dance company's milestone centennial year, and they were showing off their unbelievably high kicks at rehearsals ahead of the big opening.
This year at the 2025 Christmas Spectacular, we're celebrating the 100th year anniversary of the Rockettes. So when guests come into the music hall, they'll be able to interact with different activations and exhibits that'll showcase archival material of the past 100 years of the Rockettes.
Rockettes performer Megyn Kelly is in her 11th year.
In the show, we have some classic numbers that audiences can expect to see. The Parade of the Wooden Soldiers, for example, which has been in the show since 1933. We also have some new technology. We have Sphere Immersive Sound, which will deliver crystal clear sound to every single audience member, no matter where you're sitting in the theater.
The show opens November 6th, audio courtesy MSG Entertainment. Julie Walker, New York.
Let us be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas. America in the Morning for Thursday, October 16th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.